Thank you, Olivia. Paul Robbins spent the last few days in Washington, D.C. This is for the 48th annual Capital to Capital event.
Mingling with lawmakers and Sacramento regional leaders as they look for ways to help our area. But as Paul shows us, when it comes down to it, making changes, that actually means finding the money.
Wednesday morning, the last day of the Cap to Cap program, Sacramento to Washington, D.C., and I have returned to the United States Treasury Building where I have been before to take one more shot at driving home what is, if you had to pick one, really the main reason why so many people from the greater Sacramento area have come to Washington, D.C., and yes, it has to do with money. How do you want to measure how dependent our state is on federal dollars? About 26% of our state's general revenue is federal dollars. Dollar for dollar, plenty of states get back from the federal government a lot more than they give. Some get $3 or $4 back for every dollar. But the average state gets back about $1.25 for every dollar that they send to Washington. California gets back just under $1 for every dollar. We're a donor state. One of the teams at Cap to Cap, Workforce Development, is hoping to tap into the many pots of money that the federal government spends in an effort to get more Americans back in the workforce. And at the risk of being too wonky, I think it's interesting to list some of the programs that you may have never heard of that are the source of federal money that we're trying to woo back to the state of California. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act spends billions annually. The Brownsfield Utilization Investment and Local Development Act spends hundreds of millions. The Higher Education Act and the Perkins Career and Technical Act are easily $1 billion a year. The Teacher Quality Partnership Program and the Teacher Education Assistance for College and Higher Education programs spread around a lot of money every year, and there's a very strong feeling that we should be getting a bigger slice of the pie. So why are we in Washington, D.C. this week? Well, the answer to that question is the same answer that a man named Willie Sutton once reportedly gave to a newspaper reporter. Willie was the most notorious bank robber of his day in the early 20th century. Robbed a lot of banks, and when he was finally captured and asked by the newspaper man, "Willie, why did you rob all those banks?" he reportedly replied, "Because that's where the money is." That's why we're in Washington, D.C., because this is where the money is. Reporting from the nation.